Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of my podcast. Today's podcast is called What is Failure Really? And as usual, I will begin this podcast with a quote. A failure is not always a mistake. It may simply be the best one can do under the circumstances. The real mistake is to stop trying. And that's a quote by B.F. Skinner. Your current situation is not your final destination. The only point that we actually fail is when we stop trying. Every point where you continue to try, failure becomes a lesson instead of a final destination. I've again, trying to tie, these podcasts and these things that we're discussing into what I'm currently going through in life. It's not failure until you stop, until you give up, until you say you can't or you won't, or it's impossible, and you take a defeated mindset and a defeated condition and you refuse to move forward. That's when you reach the point of failure. Everything up until then is just learning lessons and trial and error. It's not failures, it's learning lessons and trial and error. So, you might not be able to, get the grade you want. You might not be able to get the job you want. You might not be able to achieve some type of goal that you set forth for whatever reason. There's many different variables of circumstances that can exist. But you might fail at that time. A failure as in the strict definition, like a unsuccessful attempt. But that doesn't mean that you are a failure. That doesn't mean that your journey stops at this point. That doesn't mean that you've reached your final destination. And sometimes when you don't get what you want, when you experience a hardship or a trial or a setback, it's not you're not meant to have it or this is meant for you. It just may be a maybe not at this moment, or maybe you need to grow a little bit more, or there's many different reasons why you might not be able to obtain something at that moment in time. It could be a lot of stuff that you brought to the table or that you didn't bring to the table, or it could be something that life is just trying to teach us. The universe is just trying to teach us. We can't see into the future. We can't see the grand scheme of things, the big picture. We can only see as far as we can envision, as we can plan. And then along the way, as stuff happens, you just have to adapt and overcome. And again, you don't fail until you stop. Once you stop, then you have failed. But until that point, you are not a failure. You just experienced a setback or a hardship, something that just knocked you down, but you can get back up again. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, jog. If you can't jog, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. If you can't crawl, roll. I know that sounds kind of funny, but it's in actuality, you can always do something. There's always something you can do, whether it's small or whether it's big. And a lot of the small things that, we might think, this is a tiny step towards my goal, or you may not even see it as something that moves you towards your goal. Actually, in the grand scheme of things, it's really going to help you get towards your goal, because the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So every day, if you just wake up and take one step towards your goal, towards your mission, towards your purpose, then eventually you're going to reach that, or you're going to make progress towards your goal, your mission, or your purpose. If you have a defeated mindset and you say, hey, I'm not going to make it, I'm not any good, I can't do this, whatever you want to tell yourself, whatever lie you want to tell yourself, then you are a failure. You have experienced a hardship, you have experienced a setback, which nobody in life is immune to. Everybody goes through difficulties on some level or some plane. We all experience difficulties, and that's just life's test. That's the way that life is. So by choosing to stop, you're embracing that. You're making that your situation. You're holding on to it, because you don't have to hold on to a setback, to a mistake, to a stumble, to falling down. Like, it doesn't have to be your calling card. It doesn't have to be something that follows you around like a dark cloud. That's something that you choose to embrace. So you could fall down, but just like a baby, fall down, get back up, and continue going. Babies, when they're learning how to walk, which I think is one of the greatest examples of, how we should conduct ourselves in life. When babies are learning how to walk, they fall, but they get back up again. And sometimes they hurt, sometimes they think it's funny and they laugh it off. But regardless, they get back up and they keep going. And eventually they become pretty good at walking, because we all grow up and we all get better at walking. We are only limited by our imaginations. We can do anything we put our mind to. Now, there's some things that maybe physically we can't do, or mentally you're just, it just doesn't click. But we can put our mind to a goal. If we can set our mind to a goal, we can accomplish anything. You know, even the two examples that I gave, like physically and mentally, you might not be capable. Well, I mean, there are exceptions to that. Like if you want to be in a certain condition or whatever, you can work out. And if you have a certain block to achieving some type of educational goal or something like that, you just might have to study harder than other people, or you might have to get it another way. Just because it works for one person and that's the path that they're on, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work for you, because you might not be on that same path. You might not be built like that person is built, and that's not a bad thing or a good thing. It just is. Everybody's different, everybody's unique in their own right. Like when I was going through school, I knew for a fact that like science, English, stuff like that was very easy for me to pick up, and it didn't take a lot of effort. I could just sit in class, listen to it, and be good for the test. But when it came to math, like algebra, geometry, calculus, trigonometry, stuff like that, I had to put in work, because I'm not a numbers guy. It at times it just doesn't make sense. It's crazy. It seems like another language to me, which it is. Math is the language of the universe. And I've been reading a lot of books on that, so I've been trying to get deeper into math, and studying it on my own, even though I'm not taking a test or anything. But there's a lot of math out there that makes things make sense. And then also, when you combine math and science and the physics, it becomes very interesting as well, and explains a lot of things that happen in the world. A lot of like how airplanes work, and trains, motion, speed, all that other type of stuff. So I say all that to say this, even though it's difficult or it's hard at the moment in time, we shouldn't limit ourselves by not trying, or not, giving a good effort and trying to accomplish it or trying to understand it. Because when we combine it with something we are good at, it might take us to another level of understanding, and that level of understanding might help us later on down the road. Like you never know what will happen and what could happen in your life. I at this point in time, I don't use physics in my life, but I don't know what's around the corner, and I have a very basic understanding of physics. I'm not like a scientist or anything like that, but who knows what may happen down the road, or how that may come in handy, or just for my own understanding. I've reached a point in my life where I just like to understand things. If I don't use it necessarily, I mean, that's fine. It's just for my knowledge. I just want to understand it. I feel like that helps me to become a better person at the end of the day. Just acquiring knowledge so that I can have a broader scope, and a clearer view of the horizon. Our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. This is an excerpt from the poem written by Marianne Williamson. And I know that you've heard me quote that before. That's one of my most favorite poems. The first time I heard it was watching the movie Coach Carter. They did a little excerpt from it as well in that movie. And just when I read that poem over and over again, it just rings so true. We are, our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our fear is that we are powerful. I believe that some people are scared of success, scared of what that means, like when we go through life, to be great, that demands a more resilient us, that demands a change, and sometimes that change can be painful, that change can be stressful, and that change is definitely going to take us out of our comfort zone. So and that comfort zone is deadly, is really deadly, because the comfort zone is where dreams go to die. You got a job, money's coming in, you got food on the table, everything's good, and then bam, one day you don't have any of that for whatever reason. And now you're struggling, you don't know where money's going to come in from, you don't know when your next meals are going to come, and it's a totally different mindset because you were used to being comfortable, you were used to living that cush life. And I mean, I've been through it several times over, and that comfort zone is a killer. It's a killer. So when I wake up, I listen to a lot of David Goggins and Jocko Willing, and I try to do something that puts me out of my comfort zone every day. I try to do something that makes me uncomfortable, or something that I necessarily don't want to do every day, so that I get in the mindset of doing stuff. Well, not get in the mindset, because when I was in the Marines, this is where they initially trained and started my development of this mindset, but the mindset of doing something regardless if I like it or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter whether I like it or not. If I need to do it, then it needs to get done, regardless of how I feel about it, good, bad, or indifferent. And waking up and doing something that you don't want to do every day is a good way to kind of just put that in your mindset, that you have something to get done. You got to get done. It doesn't matter if you like it or not. Regardless of that fact, you need to accomplish the mission. Always the mission first. Your light that is within you matters. Don't give anyone or any situation the power to dim that light. I believe that we are all born with a purpose. I believe that we are all born with this light inside of us that we're meant to show the world. We're not meant to work a 9 to 5, go home, hang out with the family, go to sleep, take a vacation occasionally, and live that rigmarole of life. But I feel that we all have a purpose. We all have a mission on this planet. There's a reason why we were born, because if you look at the process of how we're born or how we come into existence as human beings, from the jump, from the moment of conception, we're competing. So just the fact that you make it to become an embryo is a testament at that point in time, that you were here for a purpose, because you beat out, millions and millions and millions of possible other human beings to come into existence. And then when you look at how stressful and complicated and at times dangerous pregnancy can be, again, over a 9-month period of your development, you're becoming a person again, and you survive all of those odds and chances and stuff like that. And then when you're born, you grow up, you exist, you thrive, and you make it to adulthood. You have a reason for being here. It's not just by chance, it's not just by accident. You have a reason for being here. There's a reason that you are here. You have a purpose. Your life means something. And nobody on this world, nobody on this planet, nobody in this universe should be able to tell you when you can or can't let your light shine. That's your light. That was given to you. That was your gift. That's your purpose. You're meant to exhibit that purpose. You're meant to show the world, your light. You're not meant to hide it in your hand or keep it in the dark as a talent and a gift that other people might make fun of at certain points in times. Is meant for you to show, because you never know how your gift, how your purpose might help somebody down the road. You never know who's depending on the talent or the gift or the purpose that you have to help get them through tomorrow. Your gift might save somebody else, literally and figuratively. So don't let people thwart your efforts to be great or be who you are. Don't change up for nobody. Be who you are. Be authentically you. Be unapologetically, authentically you. We are our own gas and brake pedal, respectively. Nobody controls our lives but us. If we want to make progress continually every day, if we want to get up and get after it, if we want to go, no matter how many failures or hardships or roadblocks or difficulties or setbacks we experience, then we can have that mindset. We can have that attitude toward life, that regardless how this situation goes, I'm still going to make progress. I'm still going to do the best that I can do with what that I have currently. Respectively, we're also our own break. If every time we go through a hardship, a failure, a difficulty, a setback, we see that as a situation that we're just going to get in our feelings about, hey, maybe I'm not made cut out for this. Maybe I shouldn't go after this. It was stupid to dream about this. Then, I mean, you're putting a parachute on yourself, because our attitude determines our altitude. Meaning, if you're always in a bad attitude or looking at things negatively or pessimistically, then it's going to be a weight. You're going to drag that around everywhere you go, every which way you look. It is not going to really be, it's not going to really help condition your life towards growth. You have to have a positive attitude. We have to control that internal environment. We have to control our thoughts. So the most important conversation that we have is the conversation that we have with ourselves. We need to be aware of the things that we're saying, what we're saying, the actions we're taking, and just everything on a small level. Nothing is too small. Everything matters. That second that just went by, that mattered. And that second now, this second matters. Everything that we do matters. There's nothing that we just do that doesn't matter in our life. Everything has a purpose. Don't let this world or anyone in it tell you how great you are or aren't. You're in control of your narrative. Always, always, always be in control of that pen. Nobody on this earth can control that pen but you. Even if you've had a bad past, even if you have experienced many failures, even if things aren't clicking right now, even if it just seems like the world is against you, which is not, because life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. So if you're experiencing a hardship, if you're experiencing a setback, a roadblock, a valley right now, you're in a valley right now, make it work for you. What lesson can I learn from this? How can I get better at this? Make it work for you. Instead of thinking negatively, think positively. What can I get from this? Everything is a lesson. You just got to find it. Everything's a teachable moment. You just got to find it, and if you're repeating lessons over and over again, if you're falling into the same trap over and over again, what are you doing wrong? Why can't you pass this test? What is the setback or the trap that you keep falling in, that you need to master, that you need to overcome, so that you can make more strides to become a better you. Be on mission daily to master your daily environment. Again, every day you should be looking to master your internal environment, because the way that we get control of our external environment is by mastering our internal environment. If we get our internal situation situated, then everything externally will make sense. Now, again, we won't be able to control every variable of our life, but we can control our thoughts behind it. We can control our actions in reference to it, and we can control our emotions that we may feel because of it. So again, we don't have to be used by a situation or influenced by a situation. We can use and we can influence that situation. We have the power. This is one of my favorite quotes. Discipline equals freedom. And that's a quote by Jocko Willink. And it is extremely true. And I've seen, both sides of the coin. I wake up every morning. I do my morning routine. I work out and stuff like that. I feel good. That's a great start to my day. I have a great day. I exercise discipline. It might not be fun all the time. I might not like it. It might even be painful sometimes. But hey, I did it. It's a check mark in the box, and I have a great day behind it. When I don't exercise discipline, my day goes kind of sideways. Something might be off, or I open myself up to other variables, because the lack of discipline is the reason why I'm in that situation, or my day took that trajectory. So discipline equals freedom is true. I'm definitely a living witness of that, as are so many others. And it's something that we should just, put in the back of our head. If you want to get to any goal, you want to accomplish any task, you want to reach any height, it's going to take discipline. If you're in a valley right now and you're trying to get back to the top of the mountain, it's going to take discipline. If you're in a situation that's really emotional and it pulls at your heartstrings, or flicks your ego, and now your ego's trying to be on the forefront of your personality, you got to have discipline to pull that back in. To be in control of this internal environment takes discipline, and nothing short of discipline. You need discipline. Use your failures as the foundation from which you can build success. It's seldom in life that you get what you want on the first try. The exception doesn't beat the rule, but most times you got to work for what you want in life. It wasn't in my life. I don't know about in other people's life, but in my life, I definitely had to work for everything that I got and I obtained. And I appreciate the journey that much more for, rewarding me for all the work and all the effort that I put in. And sometimes you don't see the reward as quick as you want to. Sometimes the reward is delayed, and sometimes the reward is the work in and of itself. This is life. We can't explain what happens all the time. It just is what it is. So instead of getting down on yourself and seeing those failures as, setbacks or reasons to tell yourself that you don't matter, or you don't have a purpose, or that you are a failure, just use those failures as the foundation from which you'll build, your success, or the monument to your greatness. Not physically, it may be, but mentally. What all have I been through that is a testament to my perseverance? What all have I been through that shows me or tells me that what I'm going through right now is something that I can beat, something I can get over. Those are the questions we need to be asking ourselves internally. And that, just having that mindset day in and day out, helps to solidify our confidence and our resilience and our perseverance. And sooner or later, after enough time exercising that, it's like a muscle. It gets stronger, and that becomes a part of who we are. It becomes a characteristic of who we are. Excuses are tools of the incompetent. They build monuments of nothingness. Those who choose to use them seldom amount to anything. That's another famous quote. I'm not sure who it's by, but I had a good friend. He told me to memorize it over and over again, so I committed it to memory. It's a little bit different than that one, but they say the same thing. You either get excuses or results. You can't have both. You may have failed, you may have stumbled, you may have, fallen short of your goal. Okay, take ownership, get back after it. Like, it's that simple. Like, you can't let failures hold you back. You can't let that be your final destination. You've made it so far. You stumbled, you went left, right, whatever. Get back on track and get back after it. When a track runner comes out the blocks, it's all about your start. So even if you come out the blocks and you have a bad start, that doesn't take away from the fact that you still have a whole race to run. You still have like a whole 100 meters, 200 meters, a mile. Well, you don't really use blocks for mile, but you get what I'm saying. If you start off bad, if you stumble, if you just get a bad start, you still got a whole race to run. Like, it's not over. That's just one part of the race, one part of the journey. You still got a whole journey left to run. So don't get too caught up in failures. Everybody's going to experience failures at one point or another, because of actions that you take, or just the way your life is set up, your journey is set up. So knowing that we're going to experience failures, we shouldn't get too hung up on the fact that we fail, because it's a part of the journey. Every failure you experience means that you're getting closer to the success that you need to accomplish your goal. Again, another way to look at these things, just be positive. Choose to be positive. Choose positive energy. You can either make excuses or results, but you can't have both. Again, I'm just reading another bullet point. We've already discussed that. So here's a little homework assignment. Do it if you want to. If you don't, I've discussed in previous podcasts that I always like to memorize poems. Poems are short, little, impactful ways to hold a lot of information and I use them in reference to different situations. Like See It Through, the poem that I just referenced in reference to being powerful beyond measure. Um, a ton of different ones. I mean, there's a ton of different poems I try to memorize or keep on the back of my mind for situations that when I go through, I just try to say See It Through or Crystal Stare or Invictus. There's just several other poems that I try to memorize and keep ready in my mental Rolodex so that when I go through tough situations, they just something I can pull out, and they're short and impactful, but they say a lot. They mean a lot. One of those poems, as I stated, was Invictus by William Ernest Henley. It's a very short poem. I think it's like 3 stanzas or paragraphs, and it's very impactful. It's very meaningful, and it's something that when you're feeling down on yourself, when you feel like you're backed in the corner or that you're a failure, just quote Invictus. Look it up, read it once, twice, 3 times, or even when you get in a bad time, if you have the capability, just Google Invictus or YouTube Invictus. It's out there. It's a very well known poem, and it's something that has definitely got me through a lot of hardships. Even when I've said it some nights going to sleep, like that's been the last thing that I've done is I just lay in bed and I just quote Invictus over and over again until I fall asleep. And that makes the last thing of my day me speaking to myself in a positive way, regardless on how my day began, went, and ended. The last thing I'm doing at the end of the day is just feeding my mind this positivity over and over and over again until I fall asleep, and I just wake up and it's a new day. It's time to get after it. It's a new page in the book. I don't do that all the time, but I do something. I meditate. I quote a poem. Listen to motivation on YouTube. I do something to try to end my day on a positive note, regardless on how it went. Even that includes even working out sometimes. So, thanks for tuning in to another episode. I hope this 28 minutes has been impactful for you, and you can go forth, conquer, and do great things.